There it goes. I got it. Look at that. And I didn't even. Not bad. Tweaked it a little bit, but it'll be okay. Alright, I'm going to try to get the rest of this mower tore down before I start cutting. I want to check and see if I can flip this axle over. Maybe I can get it lower than the 4 inches. I was originally thinking 4 inches. I was thinking I was going to cut this, raise this up, weld it, but I want to get that rear end out from underneath it and see if flipping it over is an option. I've seen guys do it, so I think that it's a possibility. In my head, I feel like if you flip it over, then you're spinning the pulley the other direction, and then it's wanting to go backwards. But I've heard people say that this rear end it just works like there's forward and reverse. There's not, it doesn't work like I think it does in my head. So anyway, I want to get it all apart, check that rear end out, see if it's, and I want to get this motor out and just get it tore down. So anyway, I'm going to try to take a lot of pictures of what it looked like before, where things went, so that I don't screw up and not know how to put it back together. Because it was a runner, and so I should be able to make modifications to it, and I put it back together and it still be a runner. Hopefully. Anyway, that's where I'm at today. Okay, so I feel like the first order of business is to get this gas tank out of the way. And it's going to be real easy to do. Try to put screws back. That's got gas in it, so put it right there. Try to put these screws back. I don't think that's where the gas tank is going to go back when I put it back, but I feel like the best way to make sure that I don't lose bolts and screws is just to put them back. Okay, so my thought on getting that out of the way was I wanted to get this column out of here, and it looked like I needed to take it apart right there. I'm not sure if I should just leave it as one unit, just take this whole thing off with all that still attached. The guy that I got this from said that he disconnected the headlights, so I think that's what that might be. There's a solenoid back in there. It probably needs to come off. Hopefully, what I want to try to do is be able to take this and the wiring all with it. So that's what I'm going to try to do real quick. Is see if I can get that solenoid loose. Taken off. I'm just going to keep the wiring harness. I said I was going to keep it with this, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to keep it with the motor. So I want to get that solenoid loosened up. It's going to be easier to get to it if I get this off, or at least this pulled up. So that's what I'm working on right now. And then I'll loosen up the motor and get the motor pulled off, and then try to get the rear end out. Blah blah blah. Front end. That front end I'm going to wind up just welding it up to the front somehow. These things don't have any suspension the only real suspension that they have is in the front. It's just like a pivot, so the front end just kind of rocks back and forth, and it's really not anything like suspension, so there's no reason even to have that. So I just as well, weld it up. So, and I got to get that apart. So what my hope is today is that I'm going to just get this thing basically gutted and then really look it over to see if my plan is a good plan or if I can do better or something, you know. At this point, in regards to cool factor, I think I could do better. But I don't want to have any weird surprises that I didn't know about. That's why I want to test that rear end and see what that rear end needs. Because if I could just, flip that rear end over, then I can do it different so that rear end flips over, and then I can really lower it down quite a bit. Let's see. There it goes. That one had me worried that I was going to injure myself. Didn't feel like injuring myself. Cotter pin holding that on. I think what I'll do is I'll just take this off. Make it easy. This little chip right here is the only one that's lifting up, that's holding me up. And it was spinning, and then I reach in there and I wonder if it's got a belt underneath there and I didn't feel it. The bolt, but there it is, not under there. Okay. A lot of these don't have nuts, it's just just pulling bolts out. I don't know if that did anything. I'm gonna have to crawl down underneath there, have a look at what's going on there. Why is that? I got that off. It was a bit of a, well, it wasn't a Bearcat, but where that one shaft goes down in, I cut it because this little ear came over. I was like, well, if you're gonna fight me, I'll just cut that off. So that's what I did. So now I just gotta undo the motor, get the motor unbolted. I gotta get the pulley off the bottom. I don't think that I don't think the motor will pull with the pulley. I'll have to get under there and look. I might pull the front end out from underneath it real quick just to get it. It's just that one bolt I believe that holds the front end on. I'll have to assess whether or not that's my front end that the jack is sitting on, or the jack stand is sitting on. But other than that, we're getting closer to having it all tore apart. I got the one tire on the front off. I'll get this one off too before I start this front end, but I think that's what I'm gonna do next. I nearly made a big mistake. I moved my jack stand from underneath the front end, put it underneath the pulley. I took the bolt out of the front end, and it has like a collar that rests into the frame portion, so it won't fall out with the bolt out. So I thought, oh, I'll just pull the motor real quick. I pulled all three. I pulled that one over there. When I pulled that one, the motor moved, and I went, oh, that's right. I got the whole thing sitting on that jack stand, so if I'd have tried to pull this one, the motor would have come up and everything else would have gone down. And Although I don't think that it would have hurt me in any way, it would have definitely freaked me out. And it might have hurt the motor and stuff, because then it would have, right after, you know, the motor come up, the motor fell over. And it'd have been a mess. So, anyway, I'm glad I realized what I was doing. So, anyway, all that being said, I moved the jack stand, and now I got this motor loose. I need to get the pulley off there, or the belt off there, see if I can lift that thing out without, yeah, I think it'll come out of there. These are just little pulley guards, you know, to keep the belt from coming off the pulley. I'm not sure if those are the only bolts for them, though. Seems like it should have been. It was one piece. I thought maybe it was two. I'm assuming that's one belt that goes. No, there's two separate belts. Get this motor pulled back far enough I can get that belt on. Whoops. Sorry, you guys alright? I guess I'll shut you off for a second because I'm gonna get this, or maybe I'll put you over here. How about that? Better? So it won't knock you off. Okay. You can lift that thing up, but that belt's gonna want to hold on to it. Come on. That's not cool. There we go. Got it. Oh, goodness. Got it. Now where do I set this motor? Out of the way somewhere where I don't knock it over. Which I've already proven is pretty hard for me. Okay. Make your guesses how long it'll take for me to knock that motor over. Alright. So, I'll show you. This right here is, you can see if you look close, you can see so there's a ring that comes in, and then on the back side of that, there's a plate with a ring, and it was bolted here, and then two here that I didn't know it had, and then when I realized that it had them, I needed to get the motor off to get those taken off. So Now I can pull those two and this front end will come apart. Well, there we have it. Got the front axle out from underneath it. This is that last bit of plate that was left. So now what I need to do is get that rear end out. So I want to be able to just take this subframe and turn it over and really look what can I do to lower this thing down. And I want to look at that rear end and see if I flip that rear end over, if in a forward gear, is it going to be going in reverse? Does it turn opposite, or is it, how does that work? So I want to get that apart or out and check that. I've got some small, what I call ponies. They're like small sawhorses. I'm going to get them in here to rest this subframe on. And then anything like this, it's a part of the mower deck, I'm just going to get rid of and delete. So I'm just going to get down to bare, and then when I put it back together, is put together what I need. I just got that rear end out. Wasn't too big a deal. I actually got sawhorses. Those little horses they were too small. It would have been lower to the ground. Anyway, there's the rear end. I'm going to take this big pulley off. Looks like it'll be easy to get off. And then I'll put a smaller pulley on here. And I want to check, like I said, I want to check that rear end. So I'm going to turn this over and look things over on the other side. I've decided on this front end, I'm pretty sure I'm doing this whole thing entirely different than what I originally talked about doing, because I've realized that I can flop that front end. I can just flip it over, and that's gonna lower this thing dramatically. So I'm gonna do that probably first and see where it gets me, and then I'll concentrate on the rear and try to get the rear end. And I think if I flip that rear end over so that pulley is on the bottom, then I can keep all the pulley systems and the belts along the bottom like they're supposed to be, and then the motor I won't have to mess with. The motor and everything like that, gas tank stuff, I won't have to mess with. I'll just have to try to figure out where to mount the battery under there, because the battery, I'm not going to be able to put the battery where it was. So, and then that'll get this really low to the ground, so it should be cool. Anyway, let me get this thing flipped over and we'll look at it. Here it is. Belt for the motor. This is the clutch, basically. Disengages, engages. It's the belt for the rear. That's basically like the idler. I believe that is the rear. Yeah, it's the rear. Okay, this is for the deck, for the mower deck, so I'm going to take that off. And I think that's pretty much everything that I'm going to be able to remove. So the other thing I'm going to do is, after I get stripped down to what I need, don't need kind of thing, I'm probably going to load up all this stuff in the pickup, put some degreaser on it, take it to the car wash, clean all this stuff up, so that when I'm now that I work on it from here on out, I'm not gonna get terribly greasy. I got the tires off that rear end. And now I'm gonna get that pulley off, I think, real quick. And then I don't really know if I'm going to just wrap this video up. I think I might do. I think I might just wrap this up and say, okay, we'll see you next week. Because trying to get this little clip off one-handed without it springing and going who knows where. See if I can get it. See if I can move my hand down there to get a hold of it. I got my finger under there. Oh. Oh no. Okay. There it goes. I got it. Look at that. It didn't even. Not bad. Tweaked it a little bit, but it'll be okay. And everything that I've seen on YouTube, guys have a terrible time getting this pulley off. And it just does not look to me like it's going to be that difficult. Hold on one second. I'm going to set you guys in a better... Make sure you can see that. Okay, that battery just died on me right when I was about to pull that off. But that pulley came off so easy. It was like, I mean, easy. But I'm looking at it right now, and that thing is warped. It's bent. I'm not using this again anyway. I am going to probably, if it wasn't warped like that, I think I would try to use it on the front, but I don't know the shaft size on the front yet, but I'll find out as soon as I get that one on or off. But I'm gonna take this down to get the right shaft hole and get a smaller pulley. I'm gonna need to have that with me. And then so I'm going to clean this up. I got to get this thing into a neutral. I should have done all that before that feels like neutral right there. Well, that's hard to tell. So I got this can of degreaser right here. There's not much left of it. But I'm probably just going to spray this stuff down in here. I'm going to be done for the day. And I'll load this in the pickup and then run it by a car wash, probably on my way home from work or something, and spray these parts off so that I'm working with clean stuff, and then figure out this rear end, whether or not I can, flip it over and it still work. It has, very interestingly, there's two different spots for bolting. It looks like maybe this rear end gets used in a lot of different applications. This is where it was bolted on this one, and you can see that there's bolt holes for what looks like a different application. So I don't really know anything about these. But I'm gonna learn and find out. My biggest concern right now is whether or not when you flip that thing over, like I've said it before already, is it go in reverse when you spin that thing. So anyway, I gotta try to figure that out and degrease this thing, get it cleaned up, and then my first order of business is going to be tackling the front end, get the front end kind of put together how I like it so that'll kind of set the height, and then I'll try to figure out how to get the rear end mounted. So that's what's up. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload a video. It's usually on Tuesday at 2 p.m. is when I try to get a video out. And I'll get on this for next week. We'll see what we can get. See, maybe we get this thing a roller for by the end of next week's video. Would be pretty cool. So other than that, remember that Jesus loves you, so do I, and thank you for watching, and have a blessed week.